That'll give us a couple minutes. Loose. Just if you're full with Martin, that's what he's looking for.
Okay.
You can't get it on the screen though. You.
Yeah.
Go ahead and pick it up. I'm sorry, I got the clothes on. While we're talking, so down to a picture right here. Hold on.
Talk to you a little bit of NFL news, and then I guess franchising starting today. So some new candidates.
Let's I know I said for him first. Let's talk sports first. Hey Lou. Good?
We can always do talk. Take out. I like to talk about the place.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and kick it off.
You want to open it? We'll be open. All right. Good evening, Houston. It is time for Game On. Are you guys ready? We have some guests in the studio. Again, we have Paul Day, candidate for Harris County Sheriff. We got a lot to talk about today. We've got Dave Hilbert, a former sergeant with Harris County Sheriff here in the office with us. Of course, we've always got Luis on the controls. And Malcolm over here, my partner in crime. So before we start, we're going to talk about early voting. Early voting starts tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit about the NFL. Did it start today? Sorry, I'm a day behind.
Early voting started today.
Is it my turn for the
blooper? Bloopers do count.
Y'all bear with me. It was insane, right? I know. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about sports. We're talking a little bit about football. We'll talk about a little bit about the Rockets' power ranking. They climbed up a little bit, so they're not quite out of the cellar, but their power ranking's up to 21 out of 31 teams. It's not too bad. But let's start with a little bit of sports, shall we?
Yes, sir. Please.
Let's talk about today in the NFL. Franchise tags started, so we're looking at top candidates. I know all over the NFL they're talking about the possibility of T. Higgins out of Cincinnati being franchise tagged, Josh Allen being franchise tagged.
Josh Allen.
Yeah.
The quarterback?
Yeah, because they're going, well, there's some things they got to do before they pay him. First of all, he's got to get past the big game. There's a possibility that Diggs is leaving. They're thinking, okay, we're gonna have to find 2 or 3 wide receivers to come in to help support. And they're looking at top tier receivers. So
to help Diggs?
Yeah, and if they pay him what he's gonna want, they're not gonna have the money to help him out. You know what I mean? What do you think, Paul?
Well, I think Josh Allen should have a tag anyways. You know, I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. I've got I'll go all the way back to O.J. Simpson. Unfortunately, nice. he went the wrong way, but I'm a member of the Bills Mafia, and I believe that a bunch of my family members are watching tonight, so they'll be glad you talk about Josh Allen.
Hey,
And I hope Diggs doesn't leave, by the way.
I do too. I think they're a good team, but I think Diggs is frustrated. I think he knows he can't be the only option, and he knows that their run game has been on and off all season. And it's like, okay, guys, we need consistency. Josh Allen he's a trooper, but he's very flawed. He'll make he'll make an impulse decision and throw the ball right to the other team. So, my opinion with him, and I like Josh, but I think two things: they got to get a quarterback coach to calm him down. All right, you got to keep your head, and that's the thing. He gets wound up, he's turning the ball over. They're going to need another competent receiver. I don't know if they needed to go as far as 2 or 3, but if another competent receiver or a receiver who could play slot out of the backfield, or possibly a decent tight end, one that can block, but one that's got really good hands, would probably help them a ton. That might convince
Josh to stay
Diggs
around.
to stay. Yeah. So
I didn't know he was a free agent, but we have our quarterback. Ain't that right, Houston, Texas fans?
oh yeah, CJ is the truth.
We have our quarterback. I'm not interested in Josh at all. Not even I don't know how they're going to do that. CJ and Josh on the same bench. I don't see how that would work. But as far as T. Higgins is concerned, well, I want a game breaker. I think we have a Tank Dell. I think he's our game breaker. Nico showed what he could do. Nico Collins showed what he can do with Tank helping him out. If we can get Mechie to come around like he acted at Alabama, if he could perform like he acted at Alabama, I'm forgetting somebody. Our tight end is top notch. He's top notch.
We got to resign him if we're going to keep Schultz.
We forgot Singletary. They stole him from the Bills. He did
true.
real well this year
as a running back.
Yeah, as a run. I got frustrated watching him gain all those yards for you guys, and
you can definitely see a difference in their offensive running game with him gone. That's for darn sure. No, there's no argument there. For me, I would love to see someone like T. Higgins come in.
Why T. Higgins?
Well, one, he was injured last year. Okay. On top of that, he doesn't get a third of the looks. But since he's been in the league, he's getting like 972, 975 yards per year. And he doesn't get half the targets.
And Jamar Chase is the main target.
Chase is getting all the targets. So with that being said, the other thing is he's 6'5". He's got a good long lean frame. He's not afraid to go over the middle. He's a great comeback quarterback. And with our line, if we don't make a huge improvement in our line, how do we keep getting better? We need receivers that can play fire drill. That's what makes Travis Kelce so amazing. For Mahomes, is when he has to run and extend plays, they play that comeback game. And it's fire drill all day long. Yeah. Right? I mean, Paul, you've seen him play fire drill. You've been around for a long time. Yes. Who does it better than Travis Kelce?
Nobody.
T. Higgins is pretty close. Go back to the Vikings. The ball, God love the Bengals, was thrown to Minnesota, and he went around him and got it. I mean, he was 8 yards away from the ball, went and got it. So, yes, sir. You're talking about someone who has, with someone like C.J. Stroud, an offensive coordinator like we have, that guy can be dangerous. Now, imagine
T. Higgins, big body and good hands.
T. Higgins, he's a long frame. He's not wide like Mike Evans, but he's got great hands. He's a long body guy. You can throw that high pass to him, but he's coming down with it.
I can deal with that. I don't want Stephon.
No,
I don't want Stephon. He's got a little bit too much drama in him, and I'm talking about Stephon Diggs from Buffalo right now. When he pulled that antic where he went out on the field and he was clowning whatever he was saying, and then took it into the locker room, I didn't appreciate that at all. It was just kind of drama queenish, And before then, I liked him. Before then.
Well, and I think
kind of soured me.
Yeah, part of that is it seemed like motions got the better of him. That wasn't one of his best games. That was definitely not a game that even the Bills Mafia wants to talk about, because that was just a horrible game.
Right.
So, again, I like Stephon Diggs. The problem is if he is not the number one look every single play,
right,
that Tinkerbell does come out.
Tinkerbell.
Hey, that's the word of the day, guys. Tinkerbell. It's just like Travis Kelce running over to a senior citizen and almost knocking him over. Like, are you serious? And I know everybody's like, oh, it's Travis Kelce and the Swifties. I don't give a damn. He should be fine.
Hey, what do you think about what we're talking about so far, listening audience? I'm going to get to Mr. Paul Day in just a minute. He's our guest for tonight. Mr. Paul Day is running for sheriff, but we want to talk sports first.
Yeah, let's have some fun before we get ugly.
We're going to have some fun before we get ugly. So, what do you think about Stephon Diggs? What do you think about T. Higgins from Cincinnati? And I'm talking to the Houston Texans fans. If you're a Houston Texans fan, we want to hear from you tonight. We do have a call-in number. It's scrolling at the bottom of the screen down there, up under your nose. It's 832-560-2885. We'd love to hear from you. This is Game On Sports Talk Show, y'all, and we air every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And we do have a special guest in the building. We'll get to him in just a minute. If Lewis will put his automated flyer up, we'll be right back with you in just a minute and talk sports. You're more than welcome to call in, though. Houston Texans fans, are we talking about T. Higgins? We're talking about Stephon Diggs from Buffalo. Who do we want to help out Tank Dell and Nico Collins and Mr. Mechie and our Rookie of the Year and Offensive Player of the Year and our quarterback, Mr. C.J. Stroud? Well, that's the question when we come back.
And on the way to break, let's not forget, there's a dark horse that everybody's talking about. Mike Evans, everybody's saying, oh, Mike Evans made the comment, it'd be nice to stay in Tampa to finish his career. But everybody is counting on him possibly being traded. And Houston is one of the top 3 possible places to go. So we'll talk about that more when we get back. But
I'll bite my tongue for right now, but I need him to do something, and I'll keep that on hush until we come back. Play the quick commercial with Mr. Paul David Lewis for us, so our listening audience can know exactly who our guest speaker is tonight.
All righty, go ahead.
Back, everybody. We're back, and I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. We were having a behind-the-scenes conversation, and I want to have it right now.
Let's do it.
Paul Evans.
Redeemed.
Mike Evans. Mike Evans is talking about coming back to Houston, and you said it was on what show?
Well, he's not talking about. There are people talking about where Mike Evans is going to land. First of all, they've got to do a lot of signing. Nobody knows. The only way I think for everybody's opinion for him to stay is for him to take a pay cut, and a pretty good sized pay cut. So, but there are teams that want to play with him. One, we know he loves DeMeco Ryans. We know he's a fan of C.J. Stroud. We know this because we've heard the comments. Mid-season, the comment was made when the Bucks were in the building was Mike Evans was like telling C.J. Stroud, "Hey, come get me. I want to play with you." So that got out, that got leaked. But even on the Pat McAfee show, they're kind of talking about, hey, where are these big guys going to go? Are they going to franchise tag and trade? One of the leading rumors is they're going to franchise tag him and then trade him.
You're talking about
Mike Evans,
Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that save them some money?
Well, if they get the trade done, they're going to save him this year, probably about a $15 to $18 million hit.
My thing with him, I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the table. My thing with him is you've already touched on it. You've already alluded to it. My thing is if you want $30 million, that $30 million can be allocated to somewhere else. Our offensive, the other players that we need. We need offensive line. We need maybe another linebacker. He can say, okay, look, I've made my money. It's time for me to get a Super Bowl. I've already got one. I got one with Tom Brady. That's good. But I need some more. I'm getting older. I don't need any more money. I want to win. And that's what I want. I wish he would do. Like if Tom Brady can do it, one of the greatest of all times, Tom Brady did it every year. They wanted to give him all this ungodly amounts of money. And he told them, listen, I appreciate it.
Give me a squad.
Yeah.
I want a football team around me. And he would take a pay cut every year. If you're offering me $30, $40 million a year, just give me half of that. Give me 20 and take that other 20 million and disperse it amongst my team. And his team, that's why they played so hard for him. You got me paid, Tom.
Not for nothing. Tom Brady did win a few early postseason games with guys he met the day of the game. So
The guys he met the day of the game.
he's kind of a special guy. But let's talk about this. And Paul, I want to get your opinion on this. One of the things they're talking about being able to do with Houston, and I think here's the thing, is if Mike Evans goes anywhere, he's going to be a late free agent right before when everybody's kind of figuring out what's going to go, who's going to go where, what's going to happen as far as free agency. I think he's going to sit back and watch the field to see who his potential places to go is. One, like for example, with the Texans, they have got to go in free agency and get another veteran lineman on offense. They need at least one on the defensive line. It will not hurt to go get somebody good. And Snead is coming up, and I'll go get him for that backfield to help out that young man on corner, because something like that tells them, okay, we can, if nothing else, the defense can shut the door at the 20-yard line.
If CJ happens to have an off night, the defense can kind of reminiscent of Baltimore's old team. Shut down on defense with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and all those guys.
And they had Trent Dilfer who could throw the ball 5 yards.
I have Trent Dilfer as my quarterback. We're not going to score a bunch of points, but you're not either. You're not either.
No.
So,
and the defense was good for about 14 points a game. So that was phenomenal team. Defensively.
Let me show my ignorance. I don't even know who Mike Evans is. Tell me what position he plays.
He's a wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay. He is a Texas A&M Aggie. Okay. Aggies are in the house.
Went to high school in Galveston.
He is a Texas homegrown.
He wants to come back.
And he wants to come home. I'm sorry, I'll try to make
go ahead.
He wants to come home.
And here's my position: is what's a pay cut? You already mentioned it, $20 or $30 million or $15 million to be on a good team.
He's projected to get a $30 million a year paycheck, because he's that good. He's that impactful on the football game.
Yeah, he's the first ballot kind of guy.
Yeah, but I agree with you. See, number one is I would like him to take a pay cut, and I'll take the $15 million and put it in the Harris County Sheriff's Office. I take the $15 million.
Who can argue that?
There you have it.
So I put this in perspective.
$15 million.
And you mentioned Tom Brady. He was our nemesis in Buffalo for years.
Yes, sir.
But if he took pay cuts, that's why people enjoy. He didn't go for more money, and that's why they had good teams.
That's right.
And I would take 2 or 3 defensive players rather than take that wide receiver, because you don't want him to end up not getting passes thrown to him, or he may make a significant play here or there. But wouldn't you rather have a good defense that shuts him down?
Yes, sir.
No, we would. And listen, also, here's the thing, guys. Think about it when they signed Taft there at the end of the season. They didn't just put him on a guaranteed money. They did some backdoor playing with that money. Cal McNair didn't have a problem breaking out that personal checkbook, not the team's checkbook.
Right.
So he has shown that he's willing to play the game. So could they work something out like that where incentive based? Absolutely. I mean, you're talking about a first ballot Hall of Famer who you have almost a guaranteed at least 5 yards with him, and then when he falls forward, he's going for 8. Right? He's 6'5", 230 pounds, something like that. He's big for a receiver.
Yeah.
So, and I agree with you. I think definitely if they want to help sponsor the Harris County Sheriff's Office, I think that's a great idea. We need to get that under control. We'll talk about that more later. But just and there again, it's all speculation. It's going to be, what does Mike want to do, right? Everybody was very clear early on the season. Everybody got excited because Mike Evans wanted, hey man, he wants to play with C.J. Stroud. Everybody wants to play with C.J. Stroud, and it's not because of where he went to school at Ohio State. It's because, like Tom Brady, he's that guy that just gets it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You think about when Tom Brady came into the league, he was, 6th-round draft pick, walks up to Robert Kraft from the Kraft family, shakes his hand and said, you're a smart man for drafting me. And everybody laughed at him. Everybody's like, what is this idiot doing? Right? It's Robert Kraft.
Right.
What you got to say now? Right? The man had a vision. And the thing was, I think that's where he and Belichick, I see a similarity with DeMeco and what C.J. Stroud can do, and what they can do with this franchise, is they've got young guys that are all bought in. They want to be together.
Yes.
Right? DeMeco Ryans does not want to finish, as an also-ran. There's no way that man wants anything but a Super Bowl. Right?
That's it.
He's the kind of guy that would fight for it to the death, right?
Yes, sir.
So take that into perspective and look at the fact that if you can recreate that mentality of, look at the dynasty we can build. Let's build our career, our team together. And that's the one thing. If you watch the Texans, I watched every one of the after game locker room situations.
Mm-hmm.
You at first you didn't know if DeMeco Ryans was one of the players or one of the coaches
Yes,
because he lived it with his boys.
Yes, sir.
Now your son's a head coach.
yes, he is.
He does the same thing, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Okay, let's see. You see what I'm saying? So there's this nucleus that could really turn into something great, but Casaria's got to get us one more offensive lineman. Yes, we do need to do a couple things on defense. We've got to free up Will Anderson. He's got to be single, double coverage only. That triple coverage, he still did phenomenal in my opinion. But I'm a Texans fan, so I'm totally biased.
Yeah, I hope your fans don't hold it against me because I'm a Buffalo Bills fan.
No. I make it known all the time. I'm a football fan.
Yeah, I am too.
I love football.
Hey guys, we got a call coming.
Okay.
Hey, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah.
Who are we talking to?
This is Rich from Tampa Bay.
Uh-oh.
We're now in
Okay.
trouble.
Can you hear me?
I can. What you got to say, Rich from Tampa Bay?
Well, first of all, I want to say hello to my buddy Paul Day right there.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, Rick, I recognize your voice. Rick Levesque from you're a Tampa Bay fan? I thought you were a Detroit Lions fan. He's from Michigan. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Please, sir. Sir, can you hear me?
Hey, Rich,
Yeah, I can hear you.
can you turn your volume
hear
down
you.
just a hair?
Yeah, I got you.
All right. All right, go ahead. Did you hear what Paul was saying?
Yeah, I did. First of all, I was a Houston policeman for 30 years.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for being there in the line of fire for us.
Yes, and a personal friend of Paul's. Basically, first I want to say that I'm a Detroit Lions fan.
All right.
You were proud of
I
me.
lived in Houston for 35 plus years. And what you were touching on with Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the season, after the Lions lost to San Francisco, I said, I hope they pick up Mike Evans because I've been watching him down here. He'd be a good addition for the Lions. And
Well, I tell you what, man, I think, but me personally, I love head coach MCDC. I think Dan Campbell is an amazing coach. I love the culture he's building there. I cannot wait to see Detroit go to the Super Bowl because I think it's going to happen under his tenure. And if Mike Evans went to Detroit, that would be a truly dangerous. That would almost be a team you'd have to almost outlaw or at least handicap.
Another Megatron.
Yes.
Oh no,
yes,
I think Mike's gonna have a better career than Megatron, just because he's been someplace where he had more help and the team was a little bit different. But because Megatron was phenomenal, no doubt.
right.
Yes. What's his name again? What's the caller's name?
Rick.
Rick. Thank you for calling in, Rick. You're a Detroit Lion fan, correct?
Right, Detroit Lions fan, but I want to say something about my buddy Paul Day right there.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Paul, not only being a close friend and sort of like a mentor to me and several other young officers when we got out of the police force, we got the opportunity to play against Paul in softball. And for about 5 or 6 years, I played against him until I was able to join his team and play with him. And Paul is a great competitor. Not only is he a great competitor, he's a great leader and a great Christian.
All right.
And-
So is he the kind of guy on the team that he's always there pumping you up, or he's the one that's like, let's go?
Well, he's the one that's there pumping everybody up. And let me tell you, I also played in some games where he was umpiring, volunteering umpire, and his motto is, if you don't slide, you're out.
All right. Well, that's good. That avoids collisions.
Yeah, so I just want to, let everybody know what a great guy he is, what a great person he is, and what a great teammate he was. Even when I challenged him in a basketball game during a break on our softball tournament in San Antonio, when we traveled around playing various softball teams, I challenged him in a basketball game. I'm thinking I'm from Detroit. I could beat up on him a little bit. He's a little older, but
Uh-oh.
I learned a little lesson there.
Well, it sounds to me, Rick, like he's got that hardcore tenacity, and he loves to not back down. That's what we need in a strong leader. We need someone who will stand firm. So I agree with you. I know I've got to know Paul a little bit. I wore the Columbia blue once upon a time myself. We're not going to talk about that, but it was a time in my life. But as Dave stares at me, it's almost how I met you.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, so I just want to say that the Harris County, they're going to be getting a good man for sheriff if they get the opportunity. They should all vote for Paul, and he'd be the kind of guy, no nonsense type of guy. There ain't no good old boy system with Paul. It's hard work, dedication, and being a good person.
So Rick, you're saying tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. the polls are open. Go down and vote for Paul.
Well, I live in Tampa Bay area.
No, I know, but I'm saying you're telling everybody here in Houston tomorrow morning, 8 a.m.
Right.
They need to go vote for Paul Day.
Go vote for my man Paul Day.
Okay. All right, let me ask you a question. Paul Day becomes sheriff of Harris County and says, "Hey man, I need you to come back, Rick. You coming or what?"
Oh, I got you.
Okay, see now there's an endorsement. That's an endorsement.
I got you.
That's an endorsement. All right, man, Rick, appreciate it, bud.
One more question.
Okay.
One more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have to ask you a sports question, a sports fan question before you get off the phone. You ready?
Go ahead. Yep.
After the Detroit Lions lost that last game, all over ESPN, First Take, Shannon Sharp and his show, everybody, Stephen A.
I watched that, Stephen A. Smith. Yep.
Stephen A. Smith, everybody was all over the head coach saying if he just kicked the field goals, if he would stop going on and on fourth down and just kick the field goals, take the points, we could have won. And they were bashing the coach for having, I can't say what I want to say right now because we have a Christian man in here, but for having enlarged gonads.
Yes.
What did you feel about? What did you feel about your coach? Do you think?
I cringed. I cringed every time because I was like, "Man, please kick a field goal." But that's not their style. That's not the way they played all year. So I gotta commend Dan Campbell for leading the Lions to where he went. And just like Paul's son, fourth down, go for it.
Yes.
Well, and you know what's funny? Because look, I've lost all respect for Stephen A. Smith, especially after he talked all that trash about Houston and then was kissing on CJ's butt. But listen, looking back at some of the things, like I like watching Good Morning Football on the NFL Network. You know, one of the things when they started looking at the analytics, the best option was to go for it. So it wasn't Dan, but there again, that's Dan Campbell's style of play. Like when I loved when they were talking to him, and they asked him, "Well, what kind of player are you looking for?" He wants a player like him. He wants somebody in. This guy gets in there, gets in the gym with his players. He does up downs with his players. He stretches with them. He is a lead first kind of guy, and he wants big, strong. We're going to knock your teeth out kind of players. So I'm okay with go for it.
I was going to use the
and that's why we need a big, tall receiver that's strong like Mike Evans. Like you're saying, he's going to command a lot of money. I'd like to see him in Detroit. I didn't know he was from Galveston, and he'd be a good addition to the Texans because I love the Texans too. Don't get me wrong there. I was a big Houston Oilers fan and a Houston Gambler fan from back in the day.
Okay, Paul's got something to say that I want to ask you a question after this, but Paul's got something for you, but I want to ask you a question now.
Okay, go ahead, Paul.
I'm in agreement with what you said because I used to argue with my son about you need to go on fourth down when it's a short yardage, and he wouldn't do it in the beginning, but then he found some research from California that the coach had done research, especially in high school. You're better off going for it on fourth down because so many things can go wrong. But then look at the NFL when the Bills missed that extra point.
Yes,
got an extra point block. Yeah. But that's what happens to Bills fans all the time, Richard. You know that. And I became a Detroit Lions fan also this year because I like the fact that they did have some gonads, like you said.
Gonads.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so Rick, I got this question for you. Since you brought up the Oilers, okay, once upon a time, you weren't an Oilers fan unless when the Bills came to town, you wound up, whether you had season tickets or not, you wound up in the standing room only. Probably about some bracelets for all the friend conversation that was going on between the Bills and the Oilers. But and yes, I did get a pair of bracelets from that one time. But So Bills Mafia, go back in time. We're at the game. We're in standing room only. The Bills Mafia won't shut up. They're doing it to us again. Are we going back to back and doing a gentleman's agreement of knuckle sandwiches, or are we just going to bow out of the game? What are you going to do?
Well, I don't know if you're referring to the comeback that Frank Reich did.
No, I just mean any
against,
game. Any game. There was the standing room only was there. There was at least probably 10 fights a game.
Oh wow, yeah. Well, you get that when you get with Buffalo folks, Eagles fans, and probably several other teams.
Yeah, and the Oilers fans, because we were considered bad news back then. Now we're good fans, but apparently we were naughty children back then.
No.
Yeah, the only thing this season I didn't like when the Tennessee Titans wore the Houston Oilers colors. That made me mad.
Well, that's a whole
And,
topic for another thing, you know, and that can lead to something else. So since you said that, while I've got you on the phone, I'm going to leak another story. The Texans uniforms are changing, and it's all
really?
hush. Yes, sir. They have confirmed there is a new design and there are some new colors. And speaking of that, you're right. The Houston team, the city of Houston, right? Because if you know anything about bringing in a franchise, we saw it with the Texans when we got to bring it in. Of course, I didn't do it back with, you know, because I wasn't old enough when the Oilers first came back in the 60s. But the city of Houston, the fans put up so much money, one, for the stadium, right? And when the Oilers came, the city of Houston put up so much for the eighth wonder of the world in the Houston Astros.
Right.
So, yeah, those uniforms belong to the fans. I 100% agree. There was some talk, and so I want your opinion on this. Now, back in the old World Football League, there was a Houston Texans team. They were green and yellow, green and gold, very similar to the Green Bay Packers. So they were talking about maybe taking some of those old uniforms because they have the right to wear those because they were the Houston Texans in the World Football League. But what do you think? Should they do that, or should we wait and see what their new uniform is? And our throwbacks are going to be this bull with the blue and red. What do you think?
Well, I wish they somehow could work in them Oiler colors. I mean, because that's more recognizable for the Houston team. I think the Green Bay colors. You're talking about a guy that despised Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers because you know how many times Detroit got hurt by some little wrong call, and he always came back and beat us one way or another. Except the year before last when the Lions beat him twice. And,
all right.
But go back to your question. I don't know about the green and gold. I kind of like their uniforms now, especially the battle red uniforms they wear.
I do. I like the red helmet. I do. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be some red involved. Okay, so let me throw this one at you. If the city of Houston gets together and says, okay, you know what? Those are our colors. We're going to prove they're our colors. NFL, if you don't like it, well, don't come to Houston because, you know, Roger, we can find a pair of braces for you. But in order to do that, the city of Houston, HPD, as well as Harris County, when they have those games, especially when the Tennessee Titans come to town, they've got to come up with a Columbia. HPD's got to go back to that Columbia blue as well. And I think the sheriff's office is going to put one on too. And it still be the sheriff's department, but still the Columbia blue, and show the NFL who the hell they're messing with. And we're the city of Houston. This is H-Town, baby. We don't play that. What do you think?
Hey, I agree with you 100%. I don't like the black uniforms and the beards and everything that these guys are wearing now in the Houston PD. The blue worked perfect for the city.
Well, it was iconic, and it did match the team. Historically.
Yeah. And Harris County could use a nice uniform change too and go through that blue.
You know, I think so. I mean, I'm glad they're not in the black and tan or the black and gold anymore. What do you think, Sarge? You glad that black and gold is gone?
Tan was very popular pants.
It was a very popular pants. Okay. Well,
let me ask Richard, did you ever work any of the Astrodome games?
Yes, I worked one of the baseball games, not in the football, but for the playoffs. But my job was to sit on top of the Astrodome and watch the parking lot with binoculars to make sure no one was breaking in cars. So I didn't even see the game.
So you had the best seat in the house with the worst job in the house.
No, I had the worst seat in the house with the worst job. They put me on the roof. I couldn't even see the game.
Oh yeah, that's true. That would be horrible. All right, so there's an idea, Houston. What do you think? Maybe we should get together and do a poll and do a a petition to the NFL, get supported by our Houston leaders. That means we got to get Mayor Whitmire involved. We got to get the police chief or whatever her name is. Paul, you walk into that office, you got to join us, and you got to show them, hey, here's a Columbia Blue HPD, here's a Columbia Blue Fire Department, here's Columbia Blue Harris County, and we're going to wear blue. And if you don't like it, my guys at the sheriff's office would love to talk to you.
That sounds like a winner.
That sounds like you forget the Bills Mafia. We're going to go Harris County Mafia. How about that?
I'm in agreement.
What do you think, Malcolm?
I like it, man.
Yeah,
I like it.
that's a good deal right there.
All right.
So,
Well, Rick, I really appreciate it, man. I'm going to leave you with this.
yeah, thanks for letting me call and conversate with you guys. It's been a pleasure. Paul, I love you, man. Good luck in the election, and you're one of the best friends I got.
Okay,
Take
he's
care
one of
of
my
yourself,
best friends. I'd just like to put a plug out. He was probably the best all-around athlete that ever played on my team. He could play every position. He was a very good hustler, hit the ball well.
He just couldn't beat you in basketball.
He just couldn't beat me in basketball. It was a tough game, though. I think I surprised him.
All right. Well,
Yeah, you did.
that's fair. That's fair. So, all right, Rick, well, I'm going to leave you with this. I've never been a true Detroit Lions fan, but there were a lot of teams I loved to watch, and there was nobody better watching than Barry Sanders.
Oh, you got that right.
So, honestly, guys like him, Mike Rozier, Earl Campbell, and Ickey Woods, and then they don't make running backs like that anymore. And he was truly something else to watch.
I just watched.
Yeah, and they don't want to pay the running backs either anymore like that.
True.
I just watched the I don't know if you want to call it a documentary, but
Barry?
I just watched Barry.
Yeah, that was really good, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. I always wondered, growing up, why everybody's talking about Emmitt Smith is the greatest. That was the greatest to me.
Right.
The man made the Detroit Lions a competitive squad almost by himself.
With no help. Yeah, exactly.
Almost by himself. Emmett had the all-pro offensive line. He had Michael Irvin and Troy Aikman, and he had plenty of help.
Yeah.
Barry
He had Herman Moore.
anything.
He had Herman Moore.
Okay, let me jump in here for just 1 second, because I was a Cleveland Browns fan growing up, and nobody can take anything away from Jimmy Brown, who just passed away, bless his heart. And he was a good conservative also, by the way. But I get so offended because I was a rough, and I know Richard was like this too. Don't ever catch someone running out of bounds when they could gain 2 or 3 more yards. Jimmy Brown would do it perfectly. He'd go on the sidelines, he'd cut back, and nobody could tackle him. So, and how many, and Barry Sanders did that too, by the way, the good athletes. O.J. Simpson was kind of maneuvering, but all of them never went down and they never ran out of bounds.
Well, what you're talking about is that exact elite group: Walter Payton, Mike Rozier, Earl Campbell, Ickey Woods.
Right.
These guys, the Nigerian Nightmare, these guys who got out there and they looked to create impact, right? They were punishing runners. And there was others running out of bounds.
Let me throw Josh Allen in the mix. Do you remember when he ran the 60-yard touchdown? He went on the sidelines, and everybody thought he was going to go out of bounds, and all of a sudden he was gone.
He was gone.
Well, that
went right down the sideline.
Because
exactly.
They thought, and what happened? They slowed up. He saw the opening. Yeah, great. Don't let.
I'll even throw this in. I've never seen him slide, but in the playoff game, one time he slid, and the guy got a penalty for hitting him because they didn't expect him to slide. I don't know if he did that on purpose, but he got 15 more yards. But that's smart players, and you don't have that many smart players. I think Stroud is going to develop into one of those type players because I watched
Stroud's already there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, it takes an impact on the defense, especially the smaller defensive back.
Yeah.
You have a guy that's hard to tackle, and it hurts. It hurts when you try to tackle a big, strong man, and they know that. Earl Campbell was
Earl was the best.
Perfect example of it. I mean, I still watched the way he hit that Los Angeles Rams linebacker, boom, right in the chest. Get off me.
Well, and I tell you something else. Here's a premonition or a draft prediction with the Houston Texans. I think Cap is going to look for another player like himself or Brian Cushing. Run over and take your helmet off and then headbutt somebody. He was a Ray Lewis type Mike backer. He's going to look for one. I think the most physical linebacker we have in the draft is going to wind up coming to Houston. because they're going to look for a headhunter. They're going to look for somebody that's going to set the tone
Sure hope
and
so.
tell those big guys, "Oh, you want to run? Come on in here. I got something for you."
What you need.
Because that's what Ray
Well,
Lewis did.
And-
Ray
and
Ray
enforce-
Lewis teed off on people.
and enforcer.
Oh yeah.
So did Sugg.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, all right, man. We appreciate it. Thank you. And listen, man.
Yeah.
Game on Real Talk 100 Radio. This is the only interactive show left. Everybody else might read a text message here and there per hour. You call and we talk. We'll talk till we run out of time.
Yep. And all the way from Tampa, I'm watching you guys.
There you go. Man.
Appreciate
Appreciate
it.
it.
Thank you.
Richard, I love you, buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling in.
All right, Paul. Good luck, buddy.
Thank you.
Share the video for us, everybody. Share the video for us. And you're more than welcome to call in, just like our last caller. We're about to get done with sports here in just a few minutes. If you want to talk about something about sports for the next 8 or 12 minutes or so, 10 minutes, 7 minutes actually. Let's talk some sports because we have to get to our special guest of the night. He's running for sheriff of Harris County, Texas, everybody. Tag people, friends, family who reside in Harris County. Tag family, tag friends who reside in Harris County, Texas, and who want to see change. That's who our next guest is. That's who we're going to be talking to. His name is Paul Day. While we're discussing sports, and you might be sitting there saying, well, Malcolm, I don't know nothing about sports, so I can't call in. That's all right. Take this time to go to Facebook and Instagram and follow at Paul Day for Sheriff. That's at Paul Day for Sheriff. If you want any more information, put a link in the comments. All you have to do is click the comment. You'll go straight to his website.
Hello, thank you for calling in. What's your name?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, I'm just calling in. I was watching the show, and first time I've watched it, and that's my dad, Paul Day. So I just wanted to call in and say good luck, and I hope everything's going great. I like listening to these guys.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's your name, man?
My name is Diana Lysing,
Oh,
and I am Paul Day's daughter all the way up from Buffalo, New York, Niagara Falls, New York area.
yeah, she's definitely a mafia.
Another Bills Mafia.
Bills Mafia all the way.
You know, we started this show and now we're surrounded by the Bills Mafia. I don't know. I kind of like it. What do you think? Well, great. What do you think? So, what do you think the biggest thing somebody needs to know about Paul Day, not as dad, but as a potential sheriff?
Oh, he has the police is in his DNA all the way back from when his dad. I was 2 years old when my grandfather died, but all the way. I mean, it's just in his DNA. He will be the best sheriff ever, and I am just very proud that he's my dad.
Well, outstanding. What better endorsement?
I guess
is
she's got to be
that?
crying now.
That's good.
We never better enough. Thank you, Diana.
Well, we just got home from watching my brother's, my niece's basketball game, and we rushed home so that we could be part of this and watch the show. We watched it the other night, and it was wonderful, and we're watching it tonight. And we just love everything these guys are talking about, and just wishing my dad good luck.
All right. So, real quick, who won the game? Who won the basketball game?
My niece's team did, and she actually, the score was 54 to 30 something. I think they won by like 20 something points, but my niece Lily had 26 or 27 points out of that 54.
Okay,
They did.
hold on. Did you hear about what his former coworker said about your dad and him playing a one-on-one basketball game? Apparently, your dad whooped him pretty good in that basketball game. So,
Oh,
you know,
yeah, he would play. I have three brothers, and they would all hash it out. They were. That's how they are. That's how the days are.
oh, all right. So, but whooping people in basketball seems to be a family tradition.
Yeah,
So,
but
20 points.
Hey, Diana, tell them what grade Lily's in, playing varsity.
Lily is in 8th grade, playing varsity, and she's the captain of the team.
Wow.
And she played just about every minute of the whole game. She got taken out because she had 4 fouls, so they took her out for a little bit. But she played most of the game. She did awesome.
She's
Wow.
playing football?
Basketball.
No basketball.
Oh, wow. Okay. 8th grade on the varsity.
Yes.
Okay.
Congratulations.
All right.
That was fun.
What's your name again, ma'am?
My name is Diana.
Diana.
Yeah.
Give our listening audience one proud moment for you as a daughter And one time when your dad just embarrassed you. I know all dads
One time,
embarrassed you.
oh goodness, I don't know if my dad has ever embarrassed me. And now you're going to get to hear my dogs. I have German Shepherds.
That's okay.
But probably one of the most proud moments was when he actually walked me down the aisle of my wedding. That was a very special time in my life.
Okay.
Nice. Now, Diana, you said you didn't have an embarrassing moment. Then, as soon as you said that, the dog barked like on bull corn. We got an embarrassing moment over here. What's going on? So,
Yeah.
Oh,
But I honestly can't remember. I can't remember a moment where he embarrassed me, to be honest.
well, you were pretty lucky. Embarrassing me was a daily thing, apparently.
But this daughter was impeccable from birth. She never gave me any problems. One time when she's about 15, I just looked at her and yelled at her, and she started crying. That's the only time I ever had to discipline her. And
Okay.
I think you rolled your eyes at me. You remember? One time.
Yes. Yeah, I do remember that.
All right, so let me ask you this, Diana. Where are you at in the range of oldest to youngest?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest.
I'm the oldest out of his 7 children. Yes.
Okay.
Wow. See, I was the oldest, and I was the target. The rest of them in the middle, they're like, "Hey, shh, look what happens to him." It's like, wow.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, well, maybe
No,
you're in the middle. You're playing that martial role. Like I didn't do nothing.
No, I was pretty good. I didn't get into much trouble.
And she actually helped raise my 2 younger sons when unfortunately we got divorced and they went back to New York, and she was older and my 2 younger sons are 10 years younger. And so you really took up, Diana. I'm very proud of you also.
Yeah, we did our best. We did what we had to do, and we're all happy and we're all doing well.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for calling in for your dad tonight. Is there anything before we release the phone lines? Is there anything else you wanted to say about your dad?
No, I just want to say how proud I am of him, and I just want to wish him the best luck in the world. We're all rooting for him. My husband's sitting here, and my boys, and we're all just wishing him the best of luck. We wish we could be there to be some votes for him, but unfortunately we're not. So we're just sending good vibes and prayers, and hope he does well.
Okay. Thank you, Diana.
Well, thank you, Diana. Have a good time.
God bless you. Thank you.
You too. Okay, love you, Dad. Bye bye.
Love you too.
We may
Bye.
We just missed this call.
call him back. We have a
Yeah,
call
him
back. Call him back. We have the capability of calling. Keep calling, callers. We're sorry we missed your call. If you're watching the show, you're more than welcome to call back. 885. We're talking with a gentleman, sheriff of Harris County, Texas, in Houston, Texas, and they're not answering. Ain't that something? If you called and we miss you, you're more than welcome to call back.
Hit them again. Hit them again.
I got you.
Because now for sure they're gonna realize they're on where we can watch this, and we're gonna have some when they get you like Borg.
Did you call? We are right in the middle, everybody. We're right in the middle of the Game On Sports Talk Show.
You've reached my voicemail. I can't come to the phone right now. Please leave a message or.
It's probably him calling right there. This is the Game On Sports Talk Show. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking with tonight?
I'm actually a her. This is Debbie.
Hello, Debbie.
Hi, Debbie. How are you?
Debbie,
I'm good.
Debbie, I am so sorry. My name is Malcolm.
Okay, first off,
My name is Malcolm. When you see me, just hit me in the face, okay? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
that's okay. I'm not the biggest of sports fans. Has nothing to do with being a female, but I am a diehard Bama fan. I watch college ball.
Okay.
And so we'll just start off with that. But I want to go back to when y'all were speaking with Rick, when you were talking about the team uniforms and the sheriff's department, HPD, and all that other stuff.
All right.
I think the gist of all that, where that plays in with Paul, is the unity that doesn't exist in Harris County. Now, let me be fully open. I'm one of Paul's friends and biggest supporters. He was my partner when he was with the Harris County Sheriff's Office. For a while, we worked together. I'm a retired deputy, but and there is nobody in this world that has a bad word to say about Paul, even the people running against him. But as far as unity goes, that was one of Paul's biggest things. I mean, he was big on the domestic violence. He started one of the first domestic violence unit in the state of Texas when he was at HPD. And even after he retired and came to the sheriff's department, he pushed on. And what he did for domestic violence victims most of us can't even possibly imagine. And that's including while he was off duty and since he's retired. With that being said, that unity between the city police, HPD, and the sheriff's department, unfortunately, and not because of us deputies and officers, but because of the current, well, I like Chief Fenner with HPD, but the previous administrations, there's been no unity. There's been no working together. There's been no pride in our county. And that's what the deputies want to come back, which is why they're supporting Paul Day. And just like a football team or anything else, even the NFL as a whole, yeah, they play against each other, but there's still one big group of people with teams. And Harris County should be the same way. We have 56 different police agencies inside Harris County, and nobody's working together. And Paul wants all of those agencies working together, because it's like anything else. Our job is to fight crime. You can't fight crime if you're not working together.
That's true. That's true.
Hey, Deborah, be sure to tell them you're shortchanging yourself, because you played fast pitch softball when you're growing up. Tell them a little bit about that.
Well, I played, I was born and raised in Germany, Army brat, but my mother was German, and we had the DYA, which was the dependents leagues for the, non-service people and the family members. And I played fast pitch softball and made all-stars every single year for the 5 years until I was too old to play. And yes, that does happen in smaller sports. Once you hit 17, you can't play anymore. And shortly after that, I moved to the United States for the first time. So I've been here since I was 18 years old now. And I'm not going to tell you my age, but let's say I'm plus 50.
Oh, well, I thought you were going to say 25, but that's okay. Remember, I'm the good one. He's the one you shoot at. Anyway, so I have a question. As a woman and a voter, what in your mind would tell people, or what do you think the ladies today need to hear? Because you're right about a couple of things. One, I used to wear the Columbia blue as well. There, as far as I can go back, there has always been, a gap between the sheriff's office and the HPD about the size of the Red Sea. So. And some of the other agencies you might probably be able to swim the Atlantic Ocean quicker. But what would you tell ladies that are sitting here listening, saying, well, who should I vote for? Ed Gonzalez is an incumbent. All these other guys are here in the primary. What do you think they need to hear that obviously is an unadulterated truth that would say, hey, Paul's the guy?
Well, first off, Paul will tell you, because he's had to kind of counsel me back in the day. I'm one of those deputies. I don't have a stop sign between my brain and my mouth, so you're going to get the truth. As far as voting, whether male or female, but especially from a female perspective, I spent 25 years doing that job. And Harris County, a lot of people don't understand, and I don't mean this in derogatory to any of your female listeners or anybody out there that this is going to wind up going to, but as females, I don't think, unless you're in a job where you're in public service, you pay as much attention to what's going on. I mean, I tell all my friends, especially my female friends, you have to put somebody in office that not just knows what they're doing, but lives it and breathes it. It's just like football, baseball, basketball. Any of your big time people, and of course, like I said, I'm a Bama fan. You look at them, look at the leader that did it. What Saban has done with Bama, it's just nearly unheard of up to this point because he's gone now. But it's the same thing in law enforcement. First of all, out of our with over 4,500 employees, we're the third largest sheriff's department in the United States. And if you don't have a leader who those 45 plus 100 employees trust, then it's not that they're not out there doing their job. Our hands are tied by the district attorney's office. Our hands are tied by commissioner's court. Harris County Sheriff's Department is the third largest sheriff's department in the United States. Yet out of all the large departments, we're the lowest paid. In the state of Texas, we're close to the bottom of the list of being paid. And that's commissioner's court's fault. But you know what? We still went to work every day and gave 100%. But when you've got over 200 people, deputies, assigned to internal affairs and OID to do nothing but manage our social media and look and see if we're saying something they don't like, or following us around in patrol cars while we're on duty. And this is what's been happening for years under this administration. Personally, I like Ed Gonzalez as a person. He's a good guy. He's a good Catholic Christian. But as far as a leader goes, he's the same thing we had with Garcia. He's the same thing Mike Knox is now running, one of Paul's opponents. They spent 15 years. They didn't even retire from HPD. Then they leave to go run for city council. They term limit out of city council, and the first thing they do is go run for sheriff. Garcia did it. Gonzalez did it. Mike Knox is doing it. Mike Knox hadn't even had a uniform on in over 29 years. Why would anybody put somebody like that in office? Paul Day just retired 3 years ago from the sheriff's department. That was after over 30 years and then retiring from HPD. He went home 8 months later. He couldn't take it anymore. And he got up and went out to the sheriff's department, applied. And we have to do an agility to get hired on. He went out there and ran with them 21, 22, 25-year-old kids out there, that 1.5 mile run, and did all the weight pulling and took the test, and he passed everything. He earned it to be out there. And he is the only candidate running that's actually worked the sheriff's department. The jail it's a joke down there, everything that's going on. And Paul's got all the things to put in place and all the people within the sheriff's department to put in a command staff that actually knows how to run it. And all you have to do is look at his record. He was in SWAT, the first domestic violence unit. As far as the females go, there's not one of us, even civilians, that doesn't know another female who's been a domestic violence victim. Why would you put somebody in office other than Paul Day, who actually started the first unit in the state of Texas when he was with HPD?
I could make some really good points. Trust me. And you said, how did we get to where we are? Well, look at the douche canoe in the White House. I mean, there you go. That's the bottom line.
You're right. But we have that same party running Harris County for the last 8 years. And prior to that, when Garcia was in office as a sheriff, who, by the way, gets elected second time and then steps down so he can go run for mayor and lose. So that proved right there he didn't care. Then what does he do? Sit around for 6 years and then run and get commissioner seat and drives us even further down. People need to understand Harris County, running a county agency, is completely different than the city. The city is run like a business. They work their tails off to be in the black every year and not in the red financially. The county, there isn't a county around, especially the large ones, that has ever made it out of the red and into the black, and it's never going to happen. You have to function with what you have. And as taxpayers in Harris County, you should be asking yourself, why did we have over 600 murders last year? Why do we have over 200 people investigating the police? You know, contrary to popular belief on a lot of people, the 98% of us, we're good people. We're definitely not doing this to get rich. We work our tails off. I know I did. Paul can attest to that. I've gone above and beyond. But we shouldn't, we've got deputies now, something I used to do. When it gets cold outside like it's been, we come out of our own pocket for the people that live on the streets in our areas. I worked District 1, but majority of my area was Ella Barron Springs and Cypress Station, 1960. And those homeless people in 1960, I can't tell you how many of them I went into my own pocket and put up for 4 or 5 days in a motel room with their children, with their families, because our own department couldn't get the HOT team, which is homeless outreach team, out there in time to get them out of that cold. As a Christian and as a woman, I'm not going to let somebody freeze to death out there.
All right, so
but we're coming out of our own pockets of money that we can barely, with thanks to, like you said, what we currently have in the White House. Most of us, I'm retired and I have issues being able to afford basic needs, but we still come out of our pockets and do whatever we can for that. Those are what your officers are in the Harris County Sheriff's Department. I've worked with some of the best people that I have ever known. and they do everything they can. They got families at home take care of, but they still come out of their pockets, even if it's just to go and buy them a meal. We don't give them money for obvious reasons, but if they're hungry, those deputies, they'll drive down the street, go to the drive-thru or wherever they have to and get them something to eat. And a lot of these deputies, especially in District 1 out there, they learned that from working around Paul. They learned, hey, you know, you can be any religion you want, believe whatever you want to believe, but at the end of the day, you still have to do what's right for your fellow man.
Hey,
and that's what cops are supposed to do.
Deborah, Arthur's got a question for you. I think Malcolm does too. Go ahead, Arthur.
Go ahead. I forgot. I was listening to. Yeah, go ahead, Malcolm. I'll get back to it.
Malcolm's got a question.
I remember.
Deborah, quick question. Are you still on the police force?
No, I was back in 2018, June 14th, on 1960 in Ella. I was severely injured in the line of duty in an altercation with a man who was out that I was arresting for jumping bond on one of the warrants. He'd been arrested 17 times within the 14 prior months. He was a drug dealer, and he and his buddy were going back, one because he had drugs on him, or trespassing, the other one for bail jumping warrant and trespassing. And he wound up fracturing my neck. I've had my C3 through my C7 cervical spine fused together with a titanium cage around it. And he gave me 4 brain bleeds, which landed me with an ambulance ride to Houston Northwest in an ICU, not knowing if I was going to make it or not.
Okay.
And Sean Tier, by the way, who's running against Kim Mogg on the Democratic side, even though everything was on video, this was an open and shut case. 2 years later, the day before we're getting ready to go to trial, gives the guy 5 years probation instead of a 99-year prison sentence.
Okay.
Wow.
My question was about your work in the community, your work with the community, feeding the homeless. We do that here at Real Talk 100 Radio, and I wanted to partner with you while you were on the police, while you were on your beat. That's what I try to do. I try to get with officers who work the beat. I have several pictures with where I've done that, and I was hoping. Excuse me, let me get my voice together. I was hoping you were still on the force so we could work together. But
like I said, I'm honorably retired, but I'm still friends with all those that I worked with out there that are still out there, because I was one of the older ones at the time that I retired compared to them. And I still help out quite a few of those homeless ones over there. I've gotten a few of them, helped them out with housing and that kind of stuff. So I'm still involved in that as much as I can be. And I'm more than happy to put you in the right direction and help you out with that.
Please. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for calling in tonight. Did you have anything else to tell Mr. Paul Day tonight?
Paul, we're all pulling for you. Just let him know. I know you don't like talking about it because you feel like you're bragging, but you have earned it. Let them know why they should vote for you. For the same reason all the rest of us that have worn the uniform and walked the street with you and answered the calls with you, that's why we're all standing behind Paul.
Well, thank you.
We got to get the morale back.
Thank you, Deborah. I'll finish out your call with because everybody knows I'm a Christian. That's a part of why I will be the best sheriff ever. But I was at a church where Johnny Teague's church over on the southwest side, and a lady by the name of Mary Estrada. We were talking just like we're talking, and you're going to be proud to hear this. That she just grabbed my hand all of a sudden and says, "I got a word from you from God," and she says, "It's your turn." And then later I asked her, "Could I change that? It's our turn, Deborah. It's your turn. Sergeant Hilbert's turn. It's these two great men's here turn. It's the community's turn that we're going to take over, and we're going to change this county, and we're even probably going to change the uniforms if you want."
Like the Texans?
I could go for it.
All right, so I have a question before she hangs up. Paul, I'm hearing this. We're spending a lot of man hours. Now, we talked last week. District 1, how many residents in District 1, Sarge?
500,000.
500,000. 10 to 12 cars per shift, right?
Day shift.
Day shift. 10 to 12 cars on day shift. What's the average cost per day, you think, on average? Light day.
When the deputies log on at 2:00 in the afternoon, yesterday they had 45 calls for service holding.
Okay, so 45 calls for service holding, and you're telling me that my tax dollars are going to policing social media.
Yeah.
Tax
Yes.
dollars are going to paying attention to whether you're a Democrat or Republican, or you're like cats or dogs. Are you kidding me? Harris County, are you hearing this? We have a problem. This is ridiculous.
We've had a problem for several years, but
That hurts my heart.
the changes are not so big that they can't be changed. I don't know if Paul has told y'all or not. I know they've talked about failed in jail inspections, but Monday through Thursday, the Texas Jail Commission was in there and they failed for the 5th year in a row.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot last time. But Paul, we got to address this.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go back to the game we played last week. All right, forget sports. I'm mad now. So here's the deal. I got my bail money. I gave it to Luis. We're good. So here's the deal. You've won the election hypothetically.
Yes.
So I'm your constituent. I'm saying, Sheriff,
Yes.
what the hell are we going to do about this? Those men and women need to be reassigned and put them on the street.
Amen.
You sound like you could be the sheriff. That's what
I
we
doubt it.
We have never, Deborah and I rode out here and Sergeant Hilbert rode out. We have never had enough officers here. And I just learned, Deborah doing her research, that the vehicles they're driving, isn't there one out here with 300,000 miles on it, Deborah?
2 of them, 300,000 plus assigned to District 1 Patrol.
Well, and back in the day when somebody else wore a blue uniform, we never had enough people. But we did have everybody rotating over based on what the scenario was. But I'm hearing this situation of, well, I'm worried about what they're posting on social media. You know what I'm going to say is mind your damn business.
Yeah, but what we're going to do is immediately we're going to reassign many of those people that are working in those areas that are investigating the officers and put them back on patrol or sex crimes. Or the Harris County Sheriff doesn't even have a juvenile division, for crying out loud. And like she said, we're the 3rd largest in the nation, and we got 2 human trafficking investigators and a sergeant, and we're the hub for human trafficking.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Ain't that something?
So our plan is, in the beginning, we're going to have to put together a large-scale overtime program. I mentioned it last time. Bob Lanier had a 655 plan when I worked with HPD, and it was all policemen working overtime. So we can put 655 more policemen on the streets to supplement the patrol, and we'll have many police officers out here working overtime. Now, people say, well, where do you get the money? Well, that's why Donald Trump's going to get elected. So we get federal funds from him to show what we can, and it's going to be to combat the human trafficking and out. We'll put together she already said 56 agencies. I'm going to go immediately have a chamber of commerce for all the agencies, bring them together and see if we can get at least 1 or 2 officers from each agency and have maybe 100-man multi-jurisdictional task force to go after human trafficking. That's just one item. We got to enhance the domestic violence unit. And there's a lot of deputies that are working now. But the minute we take office with the command staff that we have, we're going to have people running to join the sheriff's office. I wouldn't be surprised if all these other agencies around here would lateral. Right now, they're laterally transferring out of the sheriff's office because they can retire and go to work for another agency, just like I did when I left HPD. I get my pension, I come to Harris County, and I get a full payment here, a full salary. Well, right now, the sheriff's deputies, if we don't get elected, there's going to be a mass exodus. And they're going to, all the ones that are eligible for retire, I think there's 2,000 in there, Sarge?
About half the department.
Okay, so if we don't get elected and someone else does, or if Ed Gonzalez stays here, and I might say that we all agree that we think we're the only one that can beat Ed Gonzalez because of the propositions we're going to bring in our campaign.
On that note, though, on that note, tell our listening audience why you're a better candidate than who's already.
Yeah, please, because this is giving me a headache.
Well, all you got to do is look at my record compared to them. We've already mentioned there's 4 candidates that are on my ballot for primary. And then you got Ed Gonzalez that we will defeat. I'm the best candidate because of everything that Deborah did a good job promoting me. I got 31 years with Harris County or with HPD. And then I came and I worked 11 years here. I also got 3 years up north in Niagara Falls, New York. I'm a veteran that has all kinds of riot control training. and I'm a good organizer. I've helped organize the Texas Tactical Police Officers Association. When I was on SWAT, I helped organize the domestic violence unit, and I'm also a good instructor, so I plan on instructing in the police academies. But the first thing I'm going to do is bring these other people together. Now, the other candidates, you have one that was a constable for, he's saying 30 years, but he hadn't worked for years. That's Joe Dana. Then you have Mike Knox. Deborah's already explained him. He hasn't been in uniform for 29 years, and he was a city council member. And frankly, what's a city council member know about being a police officer or a sheriff?
What do they know about being a city council member?
Well, exactly. And then
Amen.
the third one is Glenn Cowan, and all of us on my staff agree he's a great guy. He's 6'10", played for Oral Roberts University in basketball. He would be a good one to bring on your show, but he's not. He feels that he was called to do this because of all the problems, and I don't blame him. He didn't know anything about me, but we've become good friends, and he's agreed to endorse me once I and help us once we win the primary. And but he's a good guy. He's got 15 years, and you take his 15 years and Mike Knox's 15 years. I still got 15 years more experience, and that plus the things that I've done compared to them. And like Deborah said, I don't like bragging on myself. I'm probably talking too fast because I got to get everything out. But and I probably just skimmed the surface.
Well, Paul, I'm going to say this publicly. You go with the sheriff. You go in there as a sheriff. You gonna help me study so I can challenge T-Call? I may have to go put a uniform on again.
Well, and we'd be glad to have you with your experience.
Just release the line right quick before we get back into another. Deborah, are you still there?
I'll help you. Yeah, I'll help you study. Paul will tell you I'm good when it comes to tests.
Yeah, she's a genius.
Thank you.
She speaks 3 languages. Deborah, we're going to release the line and see if we can get some other calls, okay?
And Deborah,
thanks for calling.
I just want to, if you're over here and say one more thing, because I want everybody to understand just how dire it is. All those that live on the north side of town, between 249 and 45 from West Mount Houston at the Montgomery County line, that's District 1. About 3 or 4 months ago, and this is the honest to God truth, our shift changed when evening shift goes home and night shift comes on is 10 p.m. At 10 p.m., 3 deputies SO'd for that entire area with a population of 500,000. There were only 3 Harris County Sheriff's deputies on duty. That should scare everyone. And you think the sheriff or the major or any of them got out of bed to do anything about it? Not one of them.
Wow.
So that tells you what we've got running the sheriff's department right now.
Well, Paul, there's your endorsement.
Exactly. I don't have to say any more.
What happened? Ed said, well, I slept good. Oh, my Lord, help us. Yes. Deborah, thank you very much. I'm sorry that you got injured. I'm glad that you're able to call in and talk with us tonight. I hope that your injuries are healing and that you're doing the best quality of life possible. And thank you for calling, and thank you for your service to this county, to the citizens of Houston, Texas, and the surrounding area. And thank you for calling in.
I appreciate you taking my call. I appreciate it. Good luck, Paul.
Okay, thank you, Deborah.
And hey, Sergeant Hairborn.
I was waiting on that. Yeah, he's over here hiding.
One of the best sergeants we ever had.
I'll agree with that.
Deborah, please share the video for us all over Harris County, and tag other police officers, tag Democrats, tag Republicans. I want everybody to chime in tonight. Everybody. If you have something against this man because you're Democrat, I want you to at least listen to him. If you're a Republican and you love Republicans, call in, encourage you. If you're a police
I'm tagging y'all all the way to Pensacola, Florida, where my father's family lives, and all the way to Berlin, Germany, where the rest of my family is. So y'all are going all over tonight.
All right, Deborah, I got one last thing for you. Luis brought it up. I appreciate that, Luis. Can you tag a way for us to reach you? Because one of the things we do is we do endorse a lot of charity. I'll be out March 2nd doing the walk with Hunter's Heroes for the Marfan Walk. We'll be out as a group in Conroe for Poker Run and benefit to benefit Camp Hope. So you like helping out with people. We need some of those contacts because we don't just sit up here and talk. We put action. We put hustle behind that muscle. So if you'll do that for us, we'll appreciate it greatly.
Paul has got all of my information, and he can give you every bit of it. My contact. Y'all get in touch with me anytime. I actually live in Conroe right now, so that works out perfect.
All right, you heard that. We get the prank caller and blame it on Dave. All right, thank you so much, Debbie.
All right, y'all have a blessed night and take care.
Thank you.
Well,
3 SO. That means 3 came on shift.
Okay, that's what I was about to
3
ask.
came on shift. Are
3
you
came on
kidding
shift.
me?
for that whole
SO
section.
means signing on. That's what they.
Yeah.
Okay, signing on.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
that means
that
they came to work physically.
And that was
that's
for
a
this
that's a
whole area.
large
That's,
area.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and here's the thing: Harris County, they from what I understand, they don't do roll calls much anymore. They do these ride shares, so they swap out cars. And when they SO, once signing off, I'm going home for the night. So when they're signing on, they're not just signing on. I'm on duty. So 3 people showed up to work. In an area of 500,000
Is
people.
that,
Tell me, why is that?
yeah, why is that? For number of
Sarge?
persons?
Poor management. They just don't. I can't even answer the question.
Would you say
It
maybe?
perplexed me the whole time I was there.
And I'm going to ask somebody that's off camera. Would you say that is some lethargic behavior based on what's going on with all the, lack of money, with all the lack of overtime pay, with all the, I keep hearing these stories about how you can rack up several hundred hours in comp time you'll never be able to cash in.
Because 98% of the sheriff's office is a non-paid overtime situation.
Oh,
As far as I know, homicide is the only one gets paid overtime.
Right.
So-
Everybody's on comp time right now, right? Because of the,
Comp time.
yeah.
so there's no pay, so I'm not getting paid anyway. I'm not going.
So imagine if you're somebody like bomb squad or first responder with domestic violence, and you're the only one in your district where you've got to be on call. You're getting called constantly, whether it's SWAT, whoever, and you're basically working for free.
Well, think what happens if these
Some
guys.
of those agents, some of those departments, they get they're federally subsidized also. So their overtime is paid through federal grant money.
Thank God somebody's doing it, because my goodness, you kidding me?
But everybody else is comp time only. Same with court time, where HPD gets the choice whether they get a comp time or get paid. Sheriff's Department is comp only.
Yeah, that's
They're going to
ridiculous.
court and general overtime.
So everybody knows what happens is you pull somebody over, you write a ticket, or you're testifying in a case. They set you to come in on your day off.
Correct.
And so with the sheriff's office, you're volunteering that day because there's nothing realistically.
Well, what happens is they give you comp time, and then you get so much comp time, then you want to take it off, and then they let you off, and you got less police. But think what Deborah said. If there's 3 people on duty,
That's crazy.
and I would get criticized. Sergeant Hilborn will verify this. If I went on a call, I would try to work the call, and a lot of times I'd have to arrest somebody, and then the people started complaining because I was gone. That's one less person. But if you arrest someone, you got to drive them downtown. You got to file the charge. You got to do your offense report. That's half the shift. And so now what happens? 45 calls holding, and you're out there. Someone just knocked you over the head, and you know who they are. So now we got to go and arrest them. Probably 2 officers go there. Now you only got 1 officer running the 45 calls, and then they go to jail. Now you got only 2 out here.
Right.
And
So-
in the course of an evening shift, you're going to have all 3 of them make an arrest. Then you don't have anybody.
So let's put this in perspective. Remember, everybody's got this complaint. Well, what happened? My car got stolen. This happened. Whatever. Oh, somebody broke in the house. Cop came by and he gave me a ticket, that a number with a number, and
case
took
number,
off.
Yeah.
Now you know why? Because they don't have enough people. They're having to do that. They're doing it. It's not that they're not doing their job. What you're telling me, and this is the question, what you're telling me is not that they're not doing their job or that they don't care. What you're telling me is they don't have the manpower. They got to get back in service.
Yes.
Because somebody could be dying. And you're okay. Here's your call the investigators.
We don't have the time or the assets to spend the extra time or the time needed to do the job properly because of our staffing problem.
Oh my
But
God.
see, Sergeant Hilborn will verify it because he was my sergeant. How many times did I would get 2 or 3 calls? You get the give me the facts and give them a case number because it's just a report, and then you make an arrest, and then now the arrest takes me overtime, but I still got to get overtime for doing my reports because if you don't turn your report in a timely fashion, then they hammer you. So and they don't pay you for it; they just give you comp time.
Right.
which we're going to correct all that, I believe. We may even change. We're working on changing shifts where they work 10 or 12-hour shifts. There's a lot of formulas you can use, and then added the overtime, and then get federal and state grants so that we can have more money to pay the whole time I've been a cop, even with HPD. This aggravated me to death. We don't even follow federal standards. You're supposed to, if you work overtime, get an option to get paid or get comp time.
Right.
Now, what a lot of us would do, if they let us do it, we get some comp time and some pay.
Yeah, 50-50.
But if you want all pay, then you might not have to work an extra job, but they don't let you do that. And I'm going to figure out some way that we can do that. We're going to have with HPD was better than the county because they would have big overtime budgets. And I remember when they were running out of overtime, they would call them and say, come on, work it. Because if we don't work all of it, they'll think we don't need it.
Okay.
And the overtime is to go out there and catch the crooks. That's when they put everybody in jail. And of course, now we got a jail that we can't even put them in any place because they're losing seats. So you see what a mess the county's in?
Yes. That was my next question. I'm glad you touched on that. How are you going to change it?
Well, we're gonna have to. We can change it almost immediately. And I might add, looking at your listeners, you asked me what's the difference between all my opponents. None of them know any of what I'm talking about, because the two that haven't been policemen haven't done this for years, and the one is a sergeant in Kingwood, which is a very lightly. It's not a big crime area like what Deborah was talking about, working off in 1960.
Right.
So what we're going to do immediately is we have to go in there and do a complete audit, find out where the people are that aren't doing anything, and reassign them to patrol or to investigative divisions.
All right, so that's step one.
Yeah, that's step one. And then, but we're going to also, to help solve some of the problems, we got to fix the jail problem.
Yes, sir.
And Deborah mentioned there's 56 agencies plus all the independent school districts. Every one of them bring class A and B and felonies to the jail. So that's why you get 9,000 to 10,000 people in the jail. Well, she mentioned the guy that abused her, which ended up getting killed out here because I think after they let him go, our court system was responsible for his death because they found him with a bullet in his head out here off of 1960.
Who was that again?
The guy that assaulted Deborah.
Okay.
Remember they said that they let him out on probation?
Yes.
Well, if you're a drug dealer and you see someone getting these breaks, what do you think? They think that he's an informer for the police. So now they find him dead.
Sure.
Okay. So that happens a lot too.
Yes.
But to get back to the jail, it's very easy. No matter who the DA is, I believe that we'll be able to get a Republican, but even Kim Ogg would agree to this. When they come into the jail, we're going to identify that guy that she was talking about had 17 felony convictions, and they gave him probation. What's wrong with that picture?
Oh, wait a minute, 17 and 14 months. How did that happen?
Yeah, well, because they keep letting them go.
Now, you got John Q. Citizen get pulled over for the wrong thing, or his girlfriend called and lied. Oh, he touched me, and he's in jail for the next 30 days. Well, this guy's already out back on the street selling dope.
Yeah, so let me explain how we can do it, because Sergeant Hilborn, Deborah, and I, and all the people that are working with us are working police. When they come to the county jail, if I was bringing them in as a prisoner from HPD, I would be filing the felony on them, and I wouldn't even think about habitual criminal. That's 3 strikes and you're out.
Right.
But we have the access when they go through the inmate processing center to evaluate all that, and we'll train our people that take the information. I'm going to have a separate unit. So let's say we take those 245 from internal affairs, put 10 of them in the jail, and every time we find someone that could be eligible for habitual criminal, we're going to target that case. We're going to give it to them. They're going to repackage it, go back to the DA's office, and file a habitual criminal on them.
Okay.
And I'm telling everybody who's listening, in 4 years, they claim that 10 to 20% of these felonies that keep committing felonies commit 50% of the crimes. So in 4 years, we could put all these people in prison, and we could probably reduce crime in Harris County by 50%.
Well, and I was going to ask that question because, again, during my short time, you take someone to the jail, first thing they're doing is they're classifying.
Yes.
They're classifying based on their violence level.
Yes.
Where you're going to put them, whether they're going to go up to the White House. Remember old Franklin? They either went to the White House, the fighters went to the 7th floor, all, whatever. So why isn't this already going on? That makes no sense.
Well, because of poor management. Even the people that are there. That's what we're trying to tell people. We are the only administration and people that are working the county deputies. We're working police. Ed Gonzalez, Ed did work in homicide, but he was off the streets. All he did was file on homicide. He did file 400 charges. I'll give him credit for that. Adrian Garcia never filed a charge, I don't think, in his whole time as a policeman. And then
was he PR?
I think I checked out. That's what he did. He went in. He claimed he was a gang expert, and he was in the Hispanic community. Anyways, he's gone, and the only one that might have some clue is Glenn Cowan. But we checked on him. He's only got 200 and some charges in 15 years, and I got well over 1,000. And they only started in the 90s, so who knows how many charges I filed. So I arrest people and put them in jail, even when I was working with the county when I was 70 years old. So I understand this. Nobody else does. That's why I got a problem.
Wow, this is just a little bit overwhelming. So I mean, it's kind of like, okay, so if we keep voting the way we're voting, we're putting the noose around our own neck.
I actually, when I was at a forum, we were talking about, someone brought up reserves, and the reserve units are decreased from 400 something to 100 something under this current administration. And they, in my opinion, I never was impressed with them. But then I was thinking, we need to go back to 2-man units, and maybe, when you say you want to come back to work and you just want to stay here and you want to be a reserve, we would train you, and then we'd have you ride with another unit. So we'd have a 2-man unit rather than a 1-man unit. And we could supplement with people that are just working for free. That's just something I thought of last week.
Okay, it's a great idea. You brought up what Mayor Lanier did. That was a great program.
Yes,
that was a really good program, and everybody enjoyed it, including the rank and file. So, question brought up. I close it back so you can't see. That way, no one knows who asked this question.
Somebody asked a question.
The question was, what about once upon a time? And I don't know how far back this goes. You guys would. Once upon a time, part-timers were utilized, and they were saying something about the same time. Remember the old shotgun squads and all that? There were part-timers utilized. I think they were allowed to do limited EJs, basically what they were saying, but it was limited, where basically you had to work a certain number of part-time hours where you could do a certain number of EJ hours to equal out being able to pay for your living.
EJ means
extra job.
Yeah. Okay.
But those were strictly controlled, like, it had to be something, 9 days, whatever. What do you think about bringing part-timers back and maybe early on at least helping out?
What doesn't the county have some people now that retire and they come in and work and do paperwork stuff?
They have they let retirees come back as part-time employees.
Yes.
Come back as deputies, but work. They can only work 32 hours a week.
Yeah, and then they get paid like hourly wage, right? They are on salary, and the Houston police has had that for years. Where if you I worked out of North Command, which is on West Montgomery. I just extended my beat when I got here. I just went north of there when I started working District 1. But they would have homicide. And I would like to do this too. They have substations with Houston Police where you've got homicide and robbery and burglary and theft detectives in the substations, and they would have a lot of guys that I knew that retired and come back in there, and they would click. Like for instance, domestic violence. You got 1,500 cases a month in Harris County, and they got 5 investigators. Well, you could hire these guys part-time and have them clear all the cases that there was nothing you could do on, because we got to do a report every time. And then there's some that you really need to file on them. And then, so that you could use the part-timer. That's a very good idea.
Okay. So don't shoot the messenger. Comment was that's correct, but they were limited, especially on the HPD side, they were limited to do basically being paper pushers.
Yes.
Not where they can get into a car or ride on a call with someone else, be part of that 2-man unit, if you will.
Yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Sarge, there's a lot of master peace officers in Harris County where if a program like this, whether it was reservists or part-timers, you have enough senior good officers or good deputies where you can team these guys up. And they can basically, it's almost like going through FTO again, where you've got just great training going on, but you also have a backup right there in the car.
It's a good safety measure for officers going to these violent calls solo. Having a backup. And so maybe
you take the senior master peace officer and you put up one of these part-time guys that are not afraid to get into it and say, okay, this is what you guys are doing. You guys are going to run these hardcore calls. So don't nobody else pick them up. You can almost do like once upon a time, HPD, they had that zombie squad, right? But none of those guys were part-time. Those guys were all full-timers, but that's what they did is their whole focus, anything popped on a certain type of felony, they were the ones hitting those calls.
And here's another, Sergeant Hilbert and I have talked about this. and this has been my dream ever since. When I was on SWAT, I had a take-home car. And I took it home with it. It was the unmarked car. I can't tell you the amount of times when I was off duty, I saw something happen. I'd just get on my radio, I'd call for a patrol unit, and then either they or I would handle the call. And a lot of times I would handle it because I didn't mind filing charges. The average guy would call and then the patrol unit would handle it. But he and I want to eventually have a patrol car for every deputy that they can take home. And so then you're saturated. Let's say, I know there's a lot of policemen that work right out here, and now you got a patrol car parked in their driveway, and that's their sole car. They use it all the time. When I lived in Inwood Pines, and we would take our cars home 50% of the time. I had a domestic violence victim run up to my house, and her boyfriend was chasing her down the street. And of course, when he saw her go to my car, he took off.
I know he did.
Of course, I was in the city of Houston, so I called the city of Houston so they could do the. But we saved her from whatever he was planning on doing to her. And can you imagine if we had like how many patrolmen at one time are in? Would you say 400 or 500 in Harris County?
A little bit more than that, but yes.
Okay, so well, the ones that aren't working, you would see cars all over. And then I, as the sheriff, now we go back to overtime. This is a thing that I always didn't like. They would never. You had to get approval for overtime. If you're there and you're in your car and you see something happen, the minute you take action, then you're on overtime. And then you're in my type of sheriff's office, and this is a morale builder big time because they don't mind working if they can get paid at the time or even get comp time. That's their choice. Right. But I would like to use this one other example. When I helped organize the domestic violence unit, I volunteered to have a SWAT. I told the assistant chief he could have SWAT officers, so we took a 5-man squad from SWAT. We worked with homicide, and then they got a federal grant because we were the first ones to do it. Either maybe in the country, but I know in the state. You know that during that 2 or 3 years that I was in there, I made $30,000 or $40,000 a year in overtime because we would work the cases. We were putting people in jail. They would assault someone one day, we'd get the case, and the next morning we'd arrest them because they let us come in anytime we want because we had a blank check. And that's what we need to do. We need to get out there and I hate to say it, I can't cuss, but kick you know what and take names.
Kick your ASS. Yes, sir. Well, yes, sir.
Look, every great society needs checks and balances.
Yes,
whether it's a business, whatever. And it's the same thing with law enforcement. It's the same thing with criminal activity.
That's right.
And if you let people run amok, it's just nature of the beast. What happens if you left us alone in this room without any constraints? We're going to do something stupid.
And this is what you asked me a few times. This is what separates us from the rest of the pack. Everything I'm telling you, I've done.
You have experience.
Yeah, and Deborah, she didn't tell you. We have experience. Thank you, Louis. Deborah has rescued 5 human traffic victims when she was working. We right now have a lady, Robin Corey, whose daughter's gone. Her and a private investigator. I think I said this last week. Have rescued 63 on their own, trying to find their own daughter. And I personally arrested a guy who, talk about immigration from Honduras that had assaulted his wife of 7 years, and he re-entered the country 3 times. So I got a felony domestic violence assault case on him. He spent 2 years in the jail. At that time, there wasn't any ICE people in the jail, but I had a contact where I could call an ICE officer. And he told me, you know what he told me? He said, well, the president's not letting us do this anymore.
The president.
And neither is Gonzalez. He wanted him in jail. I said, well, you need to check this guy. I checked him. He's got multiple IDs. And his wife says he's re-entered 2 or 3 times. And so he put him in a database I had his ID when we went to get him. He gave me a false ID, but I said, no, this is you. And so we put him in jail. And he said, I'm going down. He called me back in 15 minutes. And he went down there and put a detainer on him. He served 2 years there, which is pathetic because it was a felony domestic violence. He should have gone to the federal pen, I think, for re-entering all these times. We didn't. That's another thing we want to do. We want to work with the federal government to file federal charges because when they go to the federal pen, they'll be held accountable.
You got to get the federal government to do something.
Well, that's because Donald Trump's going to be the president.
Well, because in my experience, right? Yes. You go to that ICE detention center, they may take them. They may tell you take them back. At that point, you got to let them go.
Well, no, because we can have an agreement with it. If we get the 287G, we keep them in our jail.
Well, but that's different.
Yeah,
that's different.
Yeah, exactly.
That's 100% different.
Yeah, but for right now, we can detain them. And this guy I arrested from Honduras, they deported him, right? Because when they're in jail for 2 years, they can't go. They don't get a bond. And then while they're there, they take them to the federal court where they'll tell them I want political asylum, which I've learned through my research, 87% of the people that ask for political asylum are not eligible.
Mm-hmm.
So they just know they're told to come over here and say, I need political asylum, because if I go back, they'll kill me. And so while he's in our jail, he's going to federal court, and they're ruling, no, you don't get political asylum. The minute he's released from our case, 2 years later, they deport him to Honduras. And I'll guarantee you he's back now under Joe Biden. He couldn't wait to probably get in the crowd.
Couldn't wait to get back in the tunnel, huh?
So with that problem, until that gets fixed, what do you do? What's rights do the states have? I know DPS under the governor's mandate is arresting guys and they're going to the jail, but they're just going into the system until either the Fed kicks them out, kicks them back, goes, no, that's all right, go ahead, or till they actually maybe find some dirt where maybe they are suspected of criminal activity or something, where we can actually, where law enforcement can actually do something when their hands aren't tied behind their back. But what do you do? In the state of Texas, can you, as a sheriff, these guys are arrested, like for, not too long ago, what was his name? The constable. God, he used to go over Spring Lodge all the time for Precinct 4. He had the program. He pulled you over, you were illegal. He may not be able to take you to jail, but if you didn't have insurance and driver's license, guess what? Your car was getting impounded.
Yeah. And we did that all the time on our overtime programs with HPD back in the 90s.
Yeah, but those programs are gone. So what do you do? Okay, you're sheriff. You get this guy in here. He's a third-time loser. We know he's a hardcore criminal. Is there anything you can file to get him deported, or do you have to just wait and hope the Fed gets off their butt?
I remember Denver said we have to be unified and we have to work together. I think under a new president, and again, I've lived through this. I'll tell you my progress in HPD. I came here in the 70s. I worked Denver Harbor, which is traditionally Hispanic area. Yep. And there's a lot of good people out there, but there's a lot of illegal, and even the illegal immigrants were good. They'd get drunk or they might slap their wife around or something. Well, that would be an assault. But if they were just messing up and we knew they're illegal, we could take them to the city jail and put a hold on them for immigration. Okay. But then you know why they did away with it? Because on the weekends, we're filling the jails up with illegals. So that didn't make sense. So now I go into domestic violence under George H.W. Bush, the first George Bush, and he's in alignment with us. He wants all the illegal immigrants. I had a contact with Customs that I would call whenever I had a domestic violence case where the one perpetrator was illegal, but there was 8 or 10 other ones living there. He would bring a van, and when I ran the warrant, he'd go in there and get he'd have support there. He'd get every illegal immigrant and put them in. Of course, again, they take them to Greens Road, and they don't have any room there. So, and then when Bill Clinton came in, he called me and said, we can't do it no more because it depends on who the president is.
Okay.
So it's possible. I mean, the law is there that you can detain these people. We just have to there's millions of them here now.
Well, which was funny, under Bill Clinton, he said they weren't doing it anymore. But part of his thing of running is we have too many illegal aliens. Yeah. We got to get them out.
Well, and let me make this point. There's so many illegal immigrants that are criminals. We're not out to. I really believe in this, the birthing right. You know, where if you're here and your parents are here, they never get in any trouble and they're still illegal. They should have. We have to come up with a practical path to citizenship. If they're here and being progressive, we don't want to go get the hardworking man that's got his kids. Most of them speak English. They wouldn't even, if you put them back in Mexico or wherever they're from, they wouldn't even know what to do. So if my plan would be, once we clean up the mess with all the illegals that are committing crimes, and now we've got 45 different nations out here in Splendora. There's probably 10 terrorist cells out there now that are claiming to be, they need political asylum. They're waiting to launch an attack like they did in Israel. So we need someone to keep an eye on that. But so I want your listeners to know we're not against Hispanics. We're against illegal immigrants, or people don't like to call them illegal aliens that are committing crimes. And if they commit a crime in our country, then they have to be held accountable like everybody else.
Well, sure. And I was going to clarify, because growing up, obviously my father's side of the family, I would be considered first generation American. So there's always been that comment where, they didn't infiltrate Texas, the border moved across them,
Yes.
which is true.
Yeah.
And for years, you'd see people, now it wasn't in millions, it wasn't all this mass exodus, but guys would come back and forth, men and women come back and forth, and nobody cared. The Border Patrol didn't care. They weren't committing crimes. They were doing a little something here. They were spending money at the local stores, going back to their families. Nobody cared. We're not talking about them. We're talking about people who are turds.
Yes.
And a turd in law enforcement terms is somebody who's going to commit a crime.
Yes.
Somebody's here for nefarious reasons, whether they're trying to abduct children, they're running drugs, so on and so forth. Right. So, and that's I think that's something we got to get clear along the lines too, is because a lot of people.
A turd.
Yes.
Yeah, turd.
I had no idea.
That's no, that you never had any idea. That's been
Sarge, what's a turd?
For about 40 years.
A turd, y'all.
You
A
have-
turd is a what?
That's law enforcement talk. That is someone that
turd.
negotiates or actively
and
pursues
Harris County and
illegal
HPD use the same term.
activity.
There you have it.
Yeah.
We all learned something tonight. I did.
Yeah,
I did. A turd.
That's cop talk. See, I had proof I was here. I was a part of that team.
I
once.
just got a text from Richard Levesque. He said I shared it on my Facebook and page in the great show. So
Thank
he's
you.
complimenting
Awesome.
you guys all the way
Thank
from
you.
Florida.
Thank you.
Awesome. We're coming down to the end, and I can't let you get out of here
Okay.
without asking. I need you to look into this camera, and I need you to talk to those who are saying, well, I was raised a Democrat. That's a
Yeah.
Republican. I don't want to hear nothing he has to say. Talk to him.
Well, I wasn't raised Republican or Democrat. I just chose to be a conservative. And I would say that I have a wife and an ex-wife that are Hispanic, and they grew up Catholics, and now they're born again Christians. And I know that both the blacks and the Hispanics that have voted Democrat for your whole lives, I know that you don't believe in killing babies, and I know that you don't believe in same-sex marriage, and I know you have conservative values just like we do. So forget your political party and vote for the best candidate that's going to do something to save your family. And matter of fact, I think I brought these lyrics for a song. I would challenge everybody out there to Google "Dear Mr. Jesus." I look at this every morning because it's very compelling about a little girl that was abused. And the chorus is, "Please don't let them hurt your children. We need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Won't you keep us safe and warm?" And this is a little girl that's crying out to Jesus because she saw a girl on the radio that had been beaten black and blue. And then the last lyric is that she's praying to Jesus and she says, "And please don't tell my daddy my mommy beats me too." And she's got a big black eye. It's a precious thing. I challenge everybody to, and that's why you should vote for me for sheriff, whether you're Democrat or Republican, because it's all about saving your children and having people grow up in a safe environment.
So you're saying put down the party lines. Let's be
Yes,
people.
yes.
Because right now we got a problem.
Yes, we
Yeah.
do.
I get so tired of hearing it, and I'm going to get some more backlash from tonight because you keep mentioning my boy Trump, and a lot of people don't like him.
Yeah, I know.
But hey, y'all, put aside party lines. Put aside party lines and vote for the best candidate. That's what I do. I
Yes.
mean,
Hey, I don't
a
want
lot
4
of
more
people
years
look
of $5 bread. I mean,
a lot.
$5 bread? Are you kidding me?
Who?
Have you bought bread at the grocery store? Bread.
Bread.
I
Yeah,
love
bread.
the bread, $5.
I'm done with that crap. Man.
it's kind of
Go get it. Go get a
It's
dogs behind them
and
and
it's-
change that price, and
Yeah.
I'll vote for them.
And it's not coincidental. It's not coincidental at all. It's pretty black and white. It's spelling it out in your faces. But a lot of us are stuck on, well, it's this party. It's not my party. It's that party. I'm vote for the best candidate.
I have a great question.
Long story short,
I got a great question, Paul. I'm gonna put you on the spot. We're back in the sheriff's chair, okay?
Okay,
We're
yep.
back hypothetical. You're wearing that sheriff's hat. I knew some of this at the time because being in law enforcement, having to work around places, MHMRA, LBJ, things like this, you learn a lot, right?
Yeah.
So people are going back and forth about the siege on Texas, they're back and forth on what's going on, all these people, mass entrance. So as a sheriff deputy, we know that, and those on the end of law enforcement know that we go down there and we see these people using these social services. There are people impoverished in the black community, the Hispanic community, the white community, every community, right? All 32 flavors of Baskin Robbins, that because of how life is, they need those services. And those services are either no longer rented or there's not enough room now because we have 40,000 people a day coming across that border.
That's true.
So, in your experience, have you seen some of those issues? And I know as we go back and forth over the years, it really wasn't a problem back when you were at HPD. It's now a modern thing, right? Because like I said, back then, the only people who came across that border were just guys that did jobs that you didn't want to do anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And they were there feeding their families. They spent money at the local stores and then they went home. I mean, nobody cared.
Yes.
Right? Because they did their part and went home. Nobody gave a damn. So when we talk about this, during your time, have you seen this overrun? Because I know once upon a time, a certain deputy with the last name starts with the letter L was telling me that Harris County was having to spend some time down with mental health and some of these places where social service was going because people were so upset they couldn't get seen. And these were people with legitimate issues. And I think that's something I want you to address because from personal experience, if you saw that, talk about that because, you want to get past party lines, okay? Red-blooded Americans, I don't care what color you are. I don't care who you identify as. You can identify as a tree. You're sick, you need help, and you cannot afford basic health care. You only have a couple places you can go. And if those services are full up with somebody else, I have a problem with that. Not if they're another American. Hey, we'll all wait together and be in pain together. Yeah. But if we're talking about people that are here for whatever damn reason, so have you seen a lot of that? Because I got thinking about that because she popped into my head. My bad.
Well, you see it all the time. I used to work at LBJ Hospital.
Tell them, they need to hear this.
Yeah, I used to work at LBJ Hospital, and it's just overridden with people speaking Spanish and other languages, and none of them have any insurance, but they still have to, because of the Hippocratic Code, they still have to treat them. And so then you just got massive lines of American citizens. And I personally have a daughter now that has, she worked all her life, but now she's come down with liver problems, and she doesn't have any insurance, but she had to quit her job, and it's horrendous for her even to get an appointment, because they're just overwhelmed. The hospital systems are, and then of course we're filling the jails up, and then the courts are backlogged. It's across the board, and that's probably why the prices are going up too. I would say I live off of Little York and TC Jester. But I go to Joe V's right there off of 45. All you got to do is go in there. And these are, most of them are normal people that probably don't cause any trouble. But you could bring a customs truck in there and you probably fill buses up.
I got a joke with you right quick.
Okay.
I got a joke with you. Uh-oh. Everybody out the fofo, man. This man that lives in the fofo. You know what fofo means, right?
Fofo?
Yeah. It's Ebonics. It's Ebonics.
He doesn't.
But the FOFO stands for Acres Homes.
Well, yeah, I always tell people I live in Acres Homes. I just live north of Acres Homes. I've lived there for 35 years.
Man, y'all can't knock this man.
Oh,
man. Acres Homes.
Hey, man, he's earned his street cred.
That's
sure.
That's street for FOFO. They call 44 or FOFO.
Okay.
However you want to pronounce it. That's the neighborhood of Acres Homes, y'all.
Let's see.
Tag people from Acres Homes, man. This man.
Yeah, Acres Homes. I believe we're going to go. Sheila Jackson Lee is my congresswoman. I don't like that at all. And people have asked, how are we going to win this election against a Democrat? When we win the primary, I've lived in Acres Homes or just north of it. I don't consider myself. That's a very nice neighborhood of normal people, hardworking people. I still see cowboys riding their horses out there.
Oh yeah, that's every day.
But I've been burglarized twice. One time they tried to steal my police car.
What?
Yeah, they tried to. We caught them, but
how long you been staying
there? Let's see, 35 years.
That's crazy.
So here's the question: we blow this primary out the water before you lock horns with Ed. We need to have a town hall party out there in the neighborhood.
Oh yeah, I would love that.
Listen. I've been around the 4-4. I know.
Let's say goodbye to Sheila. But our plan is, on election night, we're going to have our watch party at Martha Fierro's church over off of North Wayside. Okay. Martha Fierro's running against Carol Alvarado. And I'm putting a challenge out for all your listeners. And then her daughter Angel is running against Sylvia Garcia. These are two entrenched Democratic politicians, one in the state and one in the United States Congress, and that's how we're going to take back our county. We're going to go and work with Martha. These are block walkers. They block walk every day, and they know how to get out there. And she just told me today that that they're having great success. About 8 out of 10 are saying they're going to vote for them. Of course, they're trying to win the primary, and then I'm going to lock up with whoever's running against Sheila Jackson Lee, do the same thing. And then I believe, and we can maybe finish this up, because I'm a Christian, I'm going to challenge everybody out there. I know everybody listening believes in God. Probably almost 99% of you go to church. So just do what Solomon did in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he'll direct your paths. And if you're really listening to God, you know he's going to direct your paths to put people like me, Martha Fierro, Angel Fierro, and whoever's running against Sheila Jackson Lee in office so that they can do a good job for you.
All right, so what do you think? Let's put this out there. So we blow the primary.
Yes.
You decide to have a block party in Acres Homes.
I would love it.
Man, let's go to and let's celebrate some of those local businesses. Let's go to Burns, have some food, invite everybody to come out. Let's broadcast from Burns. Not to mention some of the best barbecue you'll ever eat. But you know what I mean? Why not?
There is a real nice barbecue place out there that I've gone to. I haven't been there for years. I used to go there when I was working for the HPD.
Burns?
Is that the name of it?
Burns, yeah.
Oh,
Burns,
down off of you go down Little York and you make a right. I forgot the street. Don't take my hood past, y'all. I forgot the street.
Well, here's the thing.
That neighborhood where I used to go.
We just can't. We have to plan it because if not, it takes forever to get in there. Yeah. If not, it'll take forever to get in there because lunchtime they got some good barbecue.
Yeah,
somebody tag Burns. I'm gonna tag them myself. We need to do that. I'm gonna tag Burns Barbecue myself. We need to do that right in the middle of the 4-4.
Let's invite the whole community of Acres Homes out.
Just to tease everybody, when I first came here, I worked the 5th Ward, and I worked the night shift, and we had a place, a barbecue place that stayed open all night. I've never ate any better barbecue than that, because that's been 50 years ago. But
yeah, I was 4 years old. I don't remember that one.
What's funny is when I first got out on the street, I used to work out of Northeast in District 7, so I was Homestead.
Yeah, well, then you're in the same area I was.
Yeah, that place was party all night long.
Yeah.
And we're down to the end of the show, y'all. If you're wondering what have I gotten myself into tonight, this is the Game On Sports Talk Show on Real Talk 100 Radio, where you normally talk sports for 2 straight hours. But now that football's over and we're transitioning into basketball and March Madness and the NBA Finals, and we're in that sad period where after that's over, we got a long stretch of 6 months before pigskin kicks back off in college football in August and September.
World football.
Oh, he's talking about world football. I'm sorry, y'all. This is a sports talk show, and he's gonna get me into world football. I'm not familiar yet.
It's pigskin. It's XFL and USL have merged. Matter of fact, there are some guys playing some football in the NFL
They're over there
that
now.
Started at the XFL.
I'll get into it. I'm not into it yet, but we're gonna talk about some world football if I leave it up to Arthur. He's a world football fan. You're gonna have to educate
I am
me
a
on
football fan. If it's American football, I don't care if it's arena ball or we're gonna get out there in the parking lot and put on some pads. Let's go. Right?
We're gonna have to do that.
Player,
we're gonna have to do that. But we're getting down to the end of the show. I just want to make sure before we get out of here that our special guest got everything out of his heart and out of his mind.
I think we covered everything. I can't think of anything else. Either one of you?
No, except I want to make this happen. So, Paul, I want you to do me a favor.
Yes.
Do you tell Harris County, if you put me past that primary, we're going to go to Acres Homes. We're going to have a block party. We want everybody to come out and meet us, come out and talk. We want them to meet us for the radio show. You need them to meet you because you want to be sheriff.
Well, I'll tell you right now, because it's right down the street from my house. I'll be traveling all over the county once we win get us through the primary, have us have a miracle, because nobody thinks we can win, and we're going to win, and for sure we'll be in Acres Homes.
Angela Vieira says she's coming to the party. Can Rob V sing at your party? He's a local.
Oh yeah, you gotta listen to this guy sing. He's got some talent, man. Rob, I love you, brother. Hey, listen, guys, next week, so we're back to nothing but sports. Okay, we have some very major things. We're going to finish up with football as we get ready for March Madness. The NCAA has changed their championship selection and how they're going to set up their playoffs. It has changed. It is out now. It's going to be very controversial. If you're someone like Notre Dame, who is #1 team in the league, but you haven't won a championship, you haven't won a postseason, guess what? You may at best be the 5 seed. So we're going to talk about that. So guys, look it up. Look at what you see, what you think about it. as we're talking, we'll have a lot to talk about franchise tags. There's going to be some franchise tags by next week. And then we're going to start getting ready for March Madness. We're going to start looking at who you think your front runners are. I am going to stay with my school. I'm repping at Texas A&M.
What?
Yeah, just sorry.
In March Madness?
Yes. They got bounced too early last time. Last time, but the time before that, they should have kept going. But anyway, I'm gonna roll with my team. Y'all can hate on me all you want. I'm gonna support my team, my alma mater. But so we're gonna talk March Madness, but I want to talk about what's gonna happen in the NCAA with this new playoff system. From what I've read so far, I actually like it. So this is one of the few times you're gonna hear me say that I like something that the NCAA does. I think it's more of a fair system. Because even Georgia, if there are 4 teams that have a better record than you, man, you're at the back of the bus when it comes to the playoffs, and you're playing 4 games to get to the national championship. They're talking about the first 4 seeds are going to be an automatic bye, so this is going to get interesting fast. So, where does that put schools like Michigan, University of Texas? What does it do with Oklahoma? People like that think they're just on the cusp. This is going to be a game changer. So,
and this is college football.
Yes, in the NCAA. Look it up, guys. Look it up. They have changed the way they're doing the national championship. Is it the perfect answer? I don't know, but so far from what I've read, I think it's an interesting answer.
College football is a little convoluted right now.
Well, look what happened.
It ran off Nick Saban.
Well, but look what happened with with Texas Christian. They should have been playing for that national championship. They got burned. So all these, they're redoing all of the whether it's the SEC or whoever. So they're coming up with a fair way, or what they believe is a fair way. And of course, it's going to be trial and error until they get it right. But so if you're one of the top 4 teams and you're undefeated, but you don't have those victories that needs, you may be playing 4 games. You're not going to be the number 1 seed. And the number 1 seed, who should be the automatic number 1 seed, may be number 4. So we don't know. So keep an eye out for that, guys. We'll talk about it. Anybody's a huge NCAA fan, we're going to talk about that. We got to talk about March Madness because it's coming hard.
We got to talk about March Madness soon, y'all. I have one last question from Angela Vieira. I believe you missed the primary vote. Is that correct? Her question is, and for the followers, when is the primary to vote?
Okay, the primary to vote started today. It goes from February 20th to March 1st, which is a Friday, and it goes all through the weekend. It's all 7 to 7, except on Sunday it's from 12 to 7. And then the actual election day is March 5th. And I just got a message from one of my campaign people. Please go to electpaulday.com so you can find more about me, and you can give encouragement for what we're doing here tonight. And
can't miss the page, guys.
And once you go to the page, share it with everybody, because my friend from Florida said he's already shared the whole show. He thinks the show was great. And I really appreciate you guys standing with me, because we're the only hope for Harris County. And we believe we're going to be a model for not only for this county, but for the state and for the nation.
If you're wondering where to go and find out more information about Mr. Paul Day, I have put it up and down the comment thread. All you have to do is go to the hyperlink and click it. It's in the it's in the comments. I've been tagging Paul Day for Sheriff in the comments. You can go to his page and click it in the bio, or you can go right here in the comments and click the hyperlink. It'll take you, and you'll learn everything you need to know about Paul Day for Sheriff 2024. We're standing beside him. We're standing beside him. We are Real Talk 100 Radio, and we are Game On Sports Talk Show. And in closing, Arthur.
Man, did you hear? And I think it was great that we finally had some people calling in, some retired deputies. This is out of control. I don't claim Republican or Democrat. I think they're all crooked, in my opinion. But look, the current program is not working.
No.
And it's time for some fresh eyes. We deserve that much. If it fails, we can say we tried, but we got to try.
Yes.
To change anything.
And I would like to make one other comment. Sometimes when people haven't voted that much, right now you can just find the closest voting place to your home, or if you're at work, just find one. You just go into that voting facility and just tell them you want to vote Republican, and then they'll give you a Republican ticket and they'll set you up. So it's not that confusing, but they're letting Democrats and Republicans vote at the same place. So it's confusing to some people.
Great. That's good news to know. So, guys, real quick, check in. We got a lot of stuff going on. We've got a lot of community events. You can check my page, whether it's Arthur Rodriguez on both my Facebooks or official Arthur Rodriguez on Instagram. You've got Malcolm. You've got the Real Talk 100 radio station page. We've got a lot of charity events coming up. We want to see you come out. We are about being a part of the community. And remember, this is the only channel or only station and only show where we can have field calls all night long and say no more than, hey, welcome on the air. What do you want to say? We're the only show that does it. We're the only show that's interactive. Now, this man is also, I want to point this out. This man has told us, he swore in front of everybody else watches us, if he gets elected sheriff.
Wait a minute. When I get elected? Excuse
me. When he gets elected sheriff, he's about to put me in handcuffs again.
Yes.
When he gets elected sheriff, him and his command staff are going to have an open house or what do they call it? Town hall event.
Town hall.
Or they're going to get on this radio and open the phone lines. Let's hear your gripes. Let's hear your complaints. Let's hear, but be constructive. If you think this ain't working, what can we do to help? What can we do to make things better? I haven't heard of transparency like that in my lifetime. Sarge, have you heard of that kind of transparency?
No.
And
I never.
And you're only 34, right? No. Yeah, that's unheard of. And like I said, I did a little research. The last time I saw anything like that remotely close was back when Lyndon Johnson was helping run for the White House on somebody else's ticket, and he stopped the second they got in there. So I don't know.
I'm in a little bit of trouble, y'all. I'm gonna put myself on camera. I'm in a little bit of trouble with Mr. Winsett as we close the show. Mr. Winsett, I owe you a public apology. I went to my email and I downloaded the video. I'm sorry, Mr. Winsett. I'm gonna try to play it right now. I'm gonna try to get it downloaded. I've been playing the wrong video. So he sent me an updated one, and I'm gonna get it on here in the next 2 minutes as we end the show. Mr. Paul Day, before Arthur and me started talking, you were going to say something. Do you remember what you were going to say?
That's all I was going to. I just wanted to point out to him that it's not that difficult to vote. You just find someplace in Harris County. If it's near your work or by your house, you can go any place to vote. You don't have. It used to be you had to go to a certain place wherever you live.
Any polling
now
station.
You can go to any polling place in
any
Harris
polling
County.
station. That's correct. So, hey guys, where else can you do it? We get some funny faux pas. We get some funny audios with our mess ups. But it's 9:09 and it's past our normal time. What do you do at Game On? We lock it in, rip the knob off, and we go till it ends.
I got you. We're going to take I can't take a quick commercial break because I'm trying to do this right quick for y'all. I might have to just put it on my page because it's going very slowly. But we have a brand new video. I played the wrong one earlier. I'm going to try to get this downloaded right now. It might be a little noisy for a second. This was the correct one. I thought I played the correct one, but we're going to get it correct right now. Once again, everybody, this is Game On Sports Talk Show on Real Talk 100 Radio. We want y'all to join us every Tuesday night, y'all. Every Tuesday night, we want you to join in with us from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Yes, we are backing Mr. Paul Day for sheriff. We are backing him. You might ask me why, Malcolm. Why are you backing him? Well, hey, y'all, it comes down to who. It comes down to, there we go, download. It comes down to who. Yeah, that's the same one I downloaded. Okay, well, it comes down to who has the best policies, who wants to make the most changes within Harris County. And as I said, I have nothing against our sheriff that's in office right now. I have nothing against him at all. It just comes down to change. It comes down to who you want in office at the time. And I think Paul Day's the man. He's got 45 years experience, and he wants to make change in our community. He wants to protect your family and your loved ones when they're incarcerated. He wants to protect the community better than it's being better than it's being protected now. And last but not least, he wants to put things in action that need to be in action that aren't in action right now, especially for the police force.
And don't forget, he also wants to start something with local businesses where if God forbid, if something does happen and you make a mistake in your life, you come back. Let's not go back into that vicious circle. Let's work together with the community to get employers to hire everybody at a fair wage, and let's put the past behind us, so to speak. Right?
Yes.
So, and hey, real quick, How long's Ed been sheriff? Besides too long, I know that.
Well, 6 and
Say
7
7 and a half,
years.
almost 8 years,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so in 8 years, ladies and gentlemen, why are we backing Paul Day? Because in 8 years, we've been told to follow their system. They got it under control. We've heard him say that. We've heard Adrian Garcia say that. We've heard the Harris County the judge say that. And guess what? It has gotten worse and worse and worse. So this ain't about party. This isn't about whether you're Democrat or Republican. This is about our safety, the safety of our children. Because let me tell you something. Every one of you guys are going to get old. Every one of you guys are going to need a doctor. You're going to need somebody to care for you. You're going to need a policeman one day. Who are you going to call if all of our kids are getting hurt, or jails are running amok, or they're getting taken out of the country by these traffickers? Who's going to take care of you? Who's going to help you? Who's going to be the next doctor, the next president? Who knows? One of these kids that we save could be the very next, the president we need to change America for the better forever. And she or he or they or whatever they are may be the game changer, but we'll never get there if we don't start changing now. We've got to do something immediately. So this is why we're supporting Paul Day. If you don't know, ask yourself one question. Is the current policy working? From what I understand and what I see, it is a resounding no. So if you have no other reason, go vote for him, because at least let's see what he can do that they can't. Because they've had 8 years and it's getting worse.
Yes, sir. We got to go, everybody. We got to go. We got to go. We got to go. We hate to go, but we have to. As we close tonight, one more time, this is the Game on Sports Talk Show. We're going to talk sports all year round. But tonight, it was all about Mr. Paul Day for sheriff. We're going to close tonight with his infomercial. We want you to take notice of it. We want you to share it. I'm going to share it to Real Talk 100 Radio as soon as the show is over. Share the video all over Harris County, and tag residents of Harris County so they can share it too. Good night, everybody.